Please come to the main entrance. Naoki Kotsugi. Please come to the main entrance.
Even when the highest a man could reach was just to the tip of his fingers, he was reaching up.
Pero más grande que de otro país. Mira todo lo que se va a ver. Mira la gente, pero estos son ya más modernos. No son los niños, pero ya los trajes son distintos, son blancos, tienen más cositas.
But I guess if you're hungry.
Building and onto the launch complex 39 observation gantry. This facility
The facilities you'll be seeing along the way, where we actually do our work.
Unfortunately, there are dangerous chemicals involved in launching a shuttle, so we won't be able to take you into any of the operational. Let's give them the lay of the land.
Okay, Sally. Kennedy Space Center is a big place. We cover 140.
We're now approaching the LC-39 observation gantry. The 54-foot tower to your right is located less than 60.
What I like is sits, put set.
satellite to Earth. We carry the satellites in the orbiter's cargo bay. Satellites can range from the size of a basketball to the size of
That they use to bring the first and second thing in Saturday, about like here to the follow
were probably designed with the help of software developed for NASA. And certainly among the most important spin taken as the exploration of space gives inspiration to everyone. It shows us the endless possibilities of human endeavor. You know, in
1961, we fell even further behind astronauts, and they were eager and ready to take the big ride. But our manned space program couldn't seem to get off the ground. We stuck with it, and on May 5th, 1961, things finally started going right. Astronaut Alan Shepard took his ship Freedom 7 6.5 miles into space. America had its first space hero. Just a few days later, our space program received a new challenge. But this one did not come from the Soviet Union. It came from our young president. In one inspiring moment, he changed the mission from one based in fear of the present to one of hope for the future.
Or why some say the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We hadn't been more than 16 minutes into space, and now we were going to the moon. We would have to design a rocket the size of a 36-story office building, put it together with the precision of a microscope, and accelerate it to the speed of a bullet. Then we would have to guide it to a moving target 250,000 miles away. Many people thought it was an impossible dream, but 400,000 of us set about making that dream a reality. It would be the longest, most hazardous voyage that any man had dared to attempt. But step by step, mission by mission, we orbited the Earth, perfecting the skills and technologies we would need on this incredible journey. Our astronauts practiced maneuvering, docking, and the 1,000 other tasks that would comprise the moon mission. We created new alloys, lighter and stronger than anything seen before. We designed communication systems that would be reliable over the vast distances. And behind it all, we tried to perfect the rocket that would be powerful enough to punch out of Earth orbit and take us to the moon. One day, however, after Apollo 1, some thought we'd failed and that the moon was out of our reach. But we owed it to those men that no astronaut's life would ever be at risk, and it goes into the most unforgiving, hazardous environment there is. We couldn't to space again until Apollo 7 orbited the Earth, testing some of the new designs. When everything worked perfectly, the decision was made. The next mission would travel to the moon. It was mankind's destiny to a dangerous journey that any man had ever undertaken. And it would be taken by friends. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. "36 stories high, she had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature differences between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and contract. Everyone who was on the pad agreed. It was as though the rocket was alive, breathing, straining at the leash. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the main spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from Saturn V at liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts and all of us in launch control went through their pre-flight checks, our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems, and to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfectly. Each individual system had been tested, but what we didn't know was how they would perform when all 2 million began to work together. That moment would come when the countdown clock reached 0. If a maneuvering thruster failed, if communications broke with Apollo 8, right here, where it actually happened, mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
We've completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin, and the communications are go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. Do we have firing command? The firing command is in. We're now on sequence 2 miles, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready, instrument unit is ready, spacecraft ready, final check of the emergency detection system, that ready light also on. First stage preparations are completed.
Ready to go to cockpit. Standby order. Okay, you're on. All systems go.
And 45 seconds and counting. First stage liquid oxygen tank has been pressurized, and the pressure is still building up. Coming up in 90 seconds, mark T-minus 90 seconds and counting. The Apollo 8 crew standing by, spacecraft commander Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, Bill Anders. We now report that the liquid hydrogen tank in the 3rd stage is pressurized. 1 minute, 15 seconds. Stage propellants pressurized at this time as we come up on the 60-second mark on our flight to the moon. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. We're coming up on a power transfer shortly. We have the power transfer. We're now on the flight batteries within the launch vehicle. Final reports coming from Frank Borman at this time. Final look at the switch list aboard the spacecraft. 20 seconds, all aspects, we are still low at this time. T-minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3,
safely to the earth. I know. I'm Jim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8.
Congress canceled the last three missions. Congress canceled the last three missions. Oh. This is one of three. I don't know.
Diese Teststation erwarten, dass wir die Geräte verbauen. Nur wegen diesem einen. Stimmt, wir haben die gesehen. Ja, dieser Rettungskampf.
I'm sorry.
Thank
try again. It has to land perfectly the first time.
To help the pilots navigate,
Commercial jet. Then just before it touches down, it flares for landing. It usually touches down at about 200 miles per hour.
somewhere between 2 to 4 hours after the orbiter lands, it gets towed up.
Species of wildlife through your window. This area of Florida was chosen to host NASA's space program because it was warm, close to the equator, and close to the ocean, a perfect place to launch rockets.
Technology, but in our ability to peacefully cooperate. Of course, everything we do today is based on the hard work of yesterday's pioneers.
To see it from the ground as it passes overhead. The International Space Station represents the combined efforts of over a dozen nations from around the world, dedicated to one common goal: improving life on Earth. With 7 laboratory modules where research can be conducted in near zero gravity, the space station will allow researchers to study materials that could not exist and processes that could not take place here on Earth. Researchers are especially excited about the ability to grow ultra-pure thermal radiators and all the multitude of other supplies and equipment needed to make the space station habitable. Once in orbit, structures weighing thousands of pounds can be maneuvered into place by spacewalking astronauts without the negative effects of gravity. We'll also be responsible for routing electrical and fluid lines and mounting numerous fittings. The way I look at it, we're going to be the most glorified construction workers going by the time we get back to Earth. But I'm ready for it. I've been ready ever since I was a kid.
Essa placa de ver para lá por cima. Os astronautas vão entrar. Vamos para onde? Para Marte?
Sim, agora a Lua já está visto.
Yeah, I do. 2 or 3 years ago, there was a lot of problems associated with it. But all of our hardware essentially is good.
We've got about 3,000 of them here. One time I even found one in my car. Got there.
Well, maybe that's what happened on Apollo 13. Do you think an alligator got in there?
In the space capsule?
For those who are heading for the IMAX Theater, that building in front of us that looks like a pyramid with a chopped off top, that's the IMAX. As you disembark from the bus, please be extra careful of that last step off especially. Ensure that you have all your personal belongings, cameras, sunglasses, hats, purses.
We are 1,000 miles southeast of Moscow, on the plains of Kazakhstan. A Soyuz rocket, the 300-ton workhorse of the Russian space program, missions and crew exchanges, is now underway. There's a lot of hardware. First American woman to live on Mir, and she's very much at home.
I think I've been up on Mir, about 3 months when the first progress came. And we opened it up, and Yuri would say, you can just smell all the fresh fruit and vegetables that are here. So we dug around and we got those bags out, and for that lunch, we had fresh tomatoes and onions. I think that was about one of the best meals I've ever eaten in my life. It was just great.
Shannon grew up in Bethany, Oklahoma. One of the cosmonauts was born in Russia, the other in Ukraine.
Well, we got talking about, when I was growing up, how afraid America was of Russia. And then they were explaining to me how afraid Russia was of America. The Cold War was very, very dominant in our lives. We would do bomb drills at school, and go underneath our desk.
The space race was in the air. More kids wanted to be astronauts than president. But the Cold War continued to escalate. Never in human history had so much death-dealing power been amassed. But even the threat of annihilation couldn't smother the human urge to explore. In the U.S., Titan missile carriers also launched the scientific probes Viking and Voyager to survey the planets. Some of the Soviet rockets that came off this weapons assembly line were earmarked for space exploration too. Then in 1975, the first joint U.S.-Soviet mission in space, Apollo-Soyuz, ignited hope for future cooperation. As tensions cooled further, new partnerships emerged, and American companies began successful joint ventures with the rocket builders at Kunichev. Then it seemed almost overnight the Cold War ended. The Soviet Union was gone. These workers woke up in a brand new country. The new Russia now had the Mir station. The U.S. had the shuttle. American and Russian leaders agreed. Why not combine these great assets and explore space together? Ambitious new joint missions have begun. Astronauts are here in Russia, training side by side with cosmonauts. Do it in a different language.
And a typical day, we started at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we would listen to everything in Russian all day long.
Grigorov isn't Russian. He's an American astronaut, born in Massachusetts. Now he's practicing in a Soyuz train.
I realized when I started training and met the Russians that if I couldn't go to the window with a cosmonaut, a guy who flew MiGs across the border when I was on the west side.
Anatoly Solovyev, on the left, has already logged more than... If anything goes wrong in space, the Soyuz is their lifeboat. Inside the centrifuge, cosmonauts condition themselves for the forces they'll encounter during launch and landing. For cosmonaut and astronaut alike, the zero-G experience is basic training.
Again, 9, 8, 7, go for main engines.
kind of thing that was totally unexpected. That you open the hatch and the first comment was, "No, you guys are upside down."
There's a table, and it's a gathering place, whether it's work, whether it's a meal, if it's just a time to relax. That high-tech piece of equipment is their vibration sensor, and every time the mirror shakes, the little bird will tweet.
Donnie and I are transferring a tank of water that's been supplied from the space shuttle over to the mirror. We actually are very quiet on their side. It's a bittersweet moment when you leave friends behind and you watch the two vehicles separate. It's a very true thing.
Well, these are the solar arrays. This is what provides power to the station. A lot more of the Earth than I'd ever got to see on a short flight. When I first got up there, a lot of the lakes were frozen, and then over the next few weeks you could see.
The flight that will bring Shannon home is now underway.
As you get closer and closer in the rendezvous, you need to focus on the task at hand, which is... And finally, you get to the moment where you're in the docking system, looking through a small little window, and you can see the faces on the other side, and you can just feel the anticipation.
Watching Mirror recede, I was saying goodbye to my home for 6 months. I was also saying goodbye to my friends. So it was really with mixed emotions that I said goodbye.